I stood in the courthouse hallway, clutching my cane so tightly my knuckles went white, my hands shaking in a way I couldn't stop, not with willpower, not with pride. People were laughing. Not loudly, not cruelly enough to be called out, just enough to let me know I was the joke. The young property manager leaned against the wall like he owned the place, his voice cutting over mine as if I were static. "She's confused," he said to the room, smiling, shaking his head like this was all very sad but very inevitable. I tried to speak. I lifted my rent ledger, thick with years of careful notes, and he snatched it from my hands and waved it once, twice, like a prop. "Look at this," he chuckled. "She writes everything down." Snickers followed. My words drowned before they reached my own ears. A security guard approached, gentle hands but firm intent, guiding me a step to the side the way you move a chair that's in the way. I felt my dentures loosen as my jaw trembled, heat crawling up my neck, burning with humiliation. The eviction notice was read aloud, my name mispronounced, syllables flattened until I barely recognized myself. I wasn't a woman anymore. I was a file number. Someone held up a phone and filmed as I asked for 5 more minutes, just 5. I caught my reflection in the glass doors, small, bent, disposable, and the judge never once looked at me when he told me to sit down. His eyes stayed on his papers. The hallway smelled like bleach and indifference as they escorted me out. I heard applause from another courtroom, some other life being validated, and I wondered when exactly I had become invisible. That was the moment something ancient and patient inside me finally woke up. I remembered buying that apartment with my late husband's war pension, the check trembling in his hands the same way my hands trembled now. I remembered carrying every receipt in labeled envelopes, a habit born from years when money decided whether you ate or not. I raised 3 children in those rooms, patched cracked walls with love and newspaper, turned echoes into laughter. My husband died at the kitchen table. His coffee was still warm. I learned early that survival meant silence and endurance, that you swallowed pain and kept moving. Years ago, when my hands started to stiffen, I entrusted my eldest son with power of attorney. He promised to help manage things. "I've got you, Ma," he said. The first missing dang statement felt like a pebble in my shoe. Annoying. Easy to ignore. I ignored the signs because mothers are trained to forgive. I buried my suspicions with my husband Vash's, told myself family doesn't steal from family. Loneliness taught me to listen more than speak. Betrayal, when it finally surfaced, felt older than my bones. The property company started sending notices I didn't understand, words twisted into threats. My son stopped answering my calls. My texts were marked red, then left to rot. I found fees on my account labeled administration, consulting, words that meant nothing but cost everything. The elevator broke and stayed broken for weeks. Neighbors stopped meeting my Ives after rumors spread that I was losing it. I overheard staff joking in the lobby, betting on how long I'd last. My mail arrived already opened, corners torn like someone had been searching my life. A young clerk smiled too widely and suggested assisted living, as if erasing me would be a kindness. That night, I started keeping a notebook under my mattress. I wrote dates, amounts, names. I wrote down voices, the way they sounded when they lied. I wrote down smells, cheap cologne, burnt coffee, fear. My hands hurt, but my mind sharpened. Each insult added weight to my silence, and my silence became deliberate. The phone rang late one night, slicing through the fog that had settled over my life. A former bank auditor was on the line. He recognized my name, recognized my handwriting from years of deposit slips. He told me my accounts were being drained systematically, not carelessly, professionally. He said my son's signature appeared on documents I had never signed. I didn't cry. I felt cold clarity instead of pain. He offered to help, quietly, carefully. I handed over my notebook like a confession, like proof that I wasn't crazy. Together, we traced shell companies back to the property manager. I learned they targeted elderly tenants who had family access, clean hands doing dirty work. The power shifted the moment I realized I wasn't alone. I stopped begging and started preparing. My patience finally had a direction. I agreed to one final public hearing, this time on my terms. The cameras returned, hungry, expecting another frail spectacle. I walked in slowly and spoke even slower, forcing the room to listen. I played recorded calls where my son mocked my confusion, laughed about how easy it was. Documents lit up the screens, signatures magnified until lies had nowhere to hide. The auditor testified with calm precision, each word cutting clean. The property manager's smile cracked under questions. Gasps replaced laughter as timelines aligned, puzzle pieces snapping into place. My son entered late, pale, sweating. I asked him to look at me when I spoke. He couldn't. The judge leaned forward for the first time. Arrest warrants were read aloud, names echoing in the room that once swallowed me whole. I felt taller than the walls, taller than the years. The eviction was reversed with a written apology. My funds were restored, plus damages for exploitation. My son avoided my eyes as he was led away. I declined to speak to him outside the courtroom. Some silences are final. The building manager resigned within a week. Neighbors left notes on my door, ashamed. I installed new locks. I learned online banking. Silence returned, but this time it felt earned. I visited my husband's grave and told him everything. My hands still shook, but from release, not fear. Justice didn't erase the hurt, but it balanced it. I slept deeply for the first time in months. I learned that patience isn't weakness, it's stored power. Age taught me how to wait without disappearing. Being underestimated became my greatest weapon. Silence, when chosen, can be strategic. I speak now so others don't have to wait as long. If you're watching this, document everything. Trust your instincts even when your voice trembles. Revenge doesn't always scream. Sometimes it testifies. I survived because I paid attention. Share this story with someone who feels invisible. Subscribe to hear the stories we're told don't matter. Remember, time is loyal to those who endure.